Hey everybody, happy Monday. Mike here, hanging out with you in the old sports cave, and just a couple, there's some things to touch on this week or on Monday I should say, after week 3 of the NFL. First off, let's talk about the Panthers. Yeah, there's not much to say. Panthers were not good against the New York Giants on Thursday night, and it's in every facet of the game. And Ron Rivera saying Monday that much like the Tennessee game last year and the regular season finale in New Orleans last year, Thursday night's game just got away from him. It's hard to be critical. It really is. It's hard to be critical because you don't really know. If you're not in the locker room and you're not a player, you don't really know what the preparations are. You don't really know what was said, what the game plan was. You just kind of watch it all unfold. As an observer, it looked like there were some things that were certainly missing from the Panthers on Thursday night against the Giants. But then again, there were also some things that worked a little bit in that game. You know, to me, it's one of those things where you look at what the overall body of work in that 60 minutes, Carolina was outplayed. I mean, they just got beat, period. The real question is, how will this team respond? Because so many expectations, so many high hopes on this football team, you just wonder. And Ron Rivera is almost kind of building, and I know he's not trying to do this, or maybe he is, I don't know. It's like he's trying to build in the cushion of this is a young team and they're learning. That only flies for a little while. It really does. I mean, last year they were young and they won 6 games. I don't anticipate another effort like they had against the Giants when they play Atlanta on Sunday. But if they do put one up like that, they do kind of lay an egg, there's going to be a lot of question marks. Already he said that they are reevaluating, or they will be evaluating kickoff return duties. Kealoha Polaris will likely get a look this week. Joe Adams is more of a punt guy than a kickoff guy. He's a very explosive player, but they're not getting the kind of returns that they need. Polaris, of course, ran one back last year. It was their first run back in almost a decade. Might have been more than a decade, almost a decade, I should say. There's problems there. I thought the defense, Rivera blamed that on scheme. That the corners were too tight, or the corners were too soft, and the safeties were too far back, so the coverage was a little bit soft. Something that has got to be. I mean, when you look at the Panthers' schedule, and I'll tip my hat to Frank Garcia and the guys over at WFNZ. They were actually talking about this last week. I mean, the Panthers' schedule, when it comes to the quarterbacks that they're going to face, and just looking at the media guide here, just looking at let's just go from the good book here from the Panthers, and I'll show you the cover so I'm not making it up. Matt Ryan this week. They've already played. Josh Freeman is probably the worst quarterback they faced, and that's no knock on Josh Freeman. Drew Brees, then Eli Manning. They get Matt Ryan. They'll face Russell Wilson probably in 2 Sundays, have the bye week. Then it's Tony Romo, Jay Cutler, Robert Griffin III, Peyton Manning. Then they get Freeman again. Then it's Michael Vick, and then Kansas City. I don't follow Kansas City. I'm not sure who their quarterback is. Not sure if it's Castle or if it's somebody else now. Then they get Ryan again. Then they get Phillip Rivers. Then they get Carson Palmer, and then they get Drew Brees again. So they're facing some elite quarterbacks. I mean, some Pro Bowl guys throughout the course of the season, and it seems like they face them week after week after week. So coverage has to be better. They're getting pressure. They're not getting sacks. And this is the same song and dance about the only stat that fans really quantify is sacks. Pressures and hurries, anything that creates a turnover is good. And the thing is, though, is that Carolina is not getting enough of those. And that's either part and parcel to the D-line not getting the push, or offensive lines are just able to block it up better than the Panthers can beat. I admit, the preseason, after hearing everything and watching them go through camp, I was pretty excited about this coming season. And sure, there are only 3 games in, there's 13 to go. But with each passing week and a game comes off the calendar, you get closer and closer to figuring out just exactly what you are. And then I think this NFL season right now, through 3 weeks, is completely schizophrenic. You just don't know who's any good now. Sure, Atlanta's 3-0. You give them credit for that. But Baltimore's a good football team. They beat the Patriots. Are the Patriots not that good? New Orleans is 0-3. I mean, is this a changing of the guard throughout the National Football League? I mean, I think it's a legitimate question because right now the teams that have been good in the last 5 years aren't very good. At least they haven't shown that they're very good. But once again, I think you have to defer to the fact that it's still very, very early in the season. Carolina at 1-2. This is a huge week for them. If they can win this week, get back to 500. They'll be they'll have 2 wins in the division. Be 2-1 of their first 4 games in the division. That's pretty big, and that can certainly play a factor down the road as this team tries to make the playoffs. Replacement referees, man, they're getting beat up. And I said it in this blog before. They're trying, but this game just moves too fast for them. It's the bottom line. The game moves too fast for these guys, and it's not like it's all going to get fixed when the regular guys come back, if they ever come back. They're having discussions. They had conversations and talks over the weekend, which, according to some reports, had Roger Goodell actually involved. And that's a good thing. But I forget who it was. I want to say it was Nick Stevens, great high school reporter in Raleigh. Went to Twitter and said, you know what, if I'm the referees, I stop negotiating. I don't even talk to the NFL anymore because all the support that they need is being played out on the field. I mean, there are bad calls, and there's always going to be bad calls, but it's misinterpretations of the rules. It's awarding challenges after timeouts were called, which is not the way it's done. There's just a lot of different things that are going on in these games, and really. The biggest thing right now that I'm seeing is, players just do not respect these officials. And if the players don't respect the officials, then that means they're not going to give that same kind of respect to the game, and ultimately the product on the field is going to suffer. So, the deal's got to get done. Something's got to get done with those guys. I won't even get in on the NHL. I'm actually kind of resigning myself to thinking that the entire season is going to be lost. And that is tragic to me. You're not a hockey person, that's fine. I'm a hockey guy, grew up playing it, watching it, loving it, and after all of this, and I've said it before, I say it again, I side with the players on this. I'm sorry, guys. I really, really do. The owners got the deal they wanted 7 years ago. Now they're trying to rewrite the deal to get it to be more in their favor. At some point, you got to think partnership. They're not doing it. So anyway, it's enough on that. I don't want to get myself all worked up. NASCAR, Denny Hamlin does the old Babe Ruth. Going right there. He does it. He goes out and says, I'm going to win. We will win. He says it wasn't a prediction. Okay. Came across as a prediction. And it looks even better when you actually back it up and take the checkered flag. Spoke with one of his crewmen Thursday night at the Panther game, and he was confident. This was Thursday. He was confident in his team that they would get it done. And lo and behold, they went out there and they kind of wasted the field. And that's a good thing for Denny. If I'm not mistaken, I think I picked Denny in this blog last week, saying that the 11 team was going to be tough to beat. They move on now away from Loudon, and it's Dover this week. Yeah, I think it's Dover this week. And that's a tough track for Denny. That was one that he told us was going to be kind of his Achilles heel. If he can get through Dover, he'll be in really good shape. Jimmy Johnson's your points leader. And how bad do you feel for Jeff Gordon? One slip up in Chicago cost him dearly in the chase. He backs it up by winning the pole in Loudon and running third. And he gained 2 points. It's tough, man. He runs third in that race and only picks up 2 points. Not even 2 spots. 2 points. He went from 47 to 45 behind. It's crazy. Chase is going to be fun to watch, and really, for Jeff Gordon to get back into the mix of this thing, I think it's going to have to take, and this isn't something he can control, but the only thing he can control is trying to get to the front at Talladega and be in front when the big one happens behind him, and hope that it takes out cars that are in the chase ahead of him, not hurting anybody, of course, but getting those contenders to have bad points days. It's tough sledding for Jeff. So it just shows you how vital each and every race is for these Cup guys. But I digress. Greg Schiano, dude, you got to let that go. Back to the NFL. I don't get it. I do not get it. You're beat. The other guys are taking a knee, and you're still diving at the ball and diving at legs and playing goal line defense on a nail down. It's going to come back to bite him. I really believe that it's going to come back to bite him. I think that any team, if it were my team and I were coaching and I was beating Tampa Bay by 1 score, just one, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, and the clock's winding down, and I got a chance to take a knee to run out the clock, I line up for that formation, and as soon as I snap the ball, I take the quarterback 5 steps back, I release a tight end up the, off the line, and I hit him with it, and I score. Period. I mean, to me, Greg Schiano is it's not his job to make friends, but it is his job to adhere to the code. And there is a code. You play until the whistle. Yeah, I understand that. You play hard until the whistle. But when the game is out of reach and you know how it's going to end, you know how it's going to end. That play doesn't work. It just does. It never works. And Ron Jaworski talked about the Joe Pisarcik fumble that Herm Edwards took back years ago. Yeah, that was in a game that was in a one-score game. The Giants had to make a play. They had to run a play. Okay? So it wasn't like when you're kneeling down, you're not handing the ball off. It's an exchange, send to the quarterback, and he drops to the ground. That's it. There's not a dive off the tackle. There's not a screen pass. If they're going to line up and run a play, then you defend. I get that. When it's a kneel-down victory formation, there's no need for that. Someone's going to get hurt. And I'll tell you what, when that happens, there are going to be a lot of teams that are going to be gunning to do the same thing to Tampa Bay. It's going to get that way. They won't say it. They won't come right out and say it. But if I'm the next team on Tampa's schedule, and I've got a 1-touchdown lead or a 1-score lead, and it gets to that point in the game, and I see them going after my guys in a kneel-down formation, I'm running a play. I'm going to have a play designed in a victory formation where the running back just releases out, and you hit him with a little screen pass, and he's gone because 9 of their 11 guys have already crashed into the line, diving for a football that they're never going to get. So that's what I would do. And I think you would see quickly that the Bucs stop that practice of attacking victory formation. That's just me. You may disagree. If so, go right ahead. Leave us a comment. Always love to hear from you. Of course, your point-and-shoot videos are always welcome. And we've got lots of stuff tonight to get to. Tons of stuff from Ron Rivera. We'll hear extended comments from him. We'll also be checking in on the Tar Heels and the Wolfpack with what happened. Their Monday press avails coming after their weekend victories. We'll hear from them. Also, North Carolina A&T going under the lights Thursday night against Morgan State. We'll preview that game for you as well. There's so much going on the Ford Sports Night. Make sure you check it out at 10 o'clock. Until we meet again here on the blog, I'm Mike. We'll see you later.